Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. All right, looks like the audio is working just fine today. Wonderful. Had to make sure just because you know how things go sometimes. All right, for whatever reason, we are not getting YouTube chat up on OBS. Annoying. That's okay. Bruins 3 Flames 1. Yeah, gotta love that. My caps have been on fire recently. That has been very enjoyable. Tell you what, you know what? Let's make a little hockey season action happen. Ovechkin's on, I believe, a 5-game goal streak. So, fair enough. Let's roll with a little Caps gear. Fair enough. Welcome on in, Dodge. Welcome on in. And we've got... Is that douchebag in the Hellcat? No. That's the douchebag in the Subaru. Sorry about that. I am still trying to get dry. It has been very wet this week here in lovely, beautiful Oahu. I have a really great show for y'all, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll wait for a few more people to show up, because this is one y'all aren't going to want to miss. Promise you the advice is pretty great. Ooh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Show off the 2018 Stanley Cup champions. I got one. That's all I need. Anywho. So, let's talk. Let me see. Came up with a new name for a Suburban last night. It came out as Sububu. Sounds like something a kid would say, like a baby. Well, anywho. All right. So we've got really great show for y'all today. I have been given a really interesting sort of oh, hang on, damn it, let me make sure I got this set up correctly. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, false start on that. Very unprofessional. Iraq discipline. Is an Eldridge cross between a Suburban and a Subaru. Is in the midst of cards anger. I see. Okay, so let's talk about this. Strongly recommend. First off, if y'all don't know, consultations, advice, or you just want to get in touch with me, up there, right? AskBullMuscle@gmail.com. That is the way to contact me. All right. I have been asked a really, really good question, all right? And these consultations sometimes take a while to materialize, but it's always very interesting and exciting when they do. So here we go. Let me pull up. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Aloha, Bull. I am a young 20-something male. I'm going to keep the details to a minimum. Actually, before I go any further, I'm going to check audio just to make sure. It should be good, but let's see here. Yeah, it's perfect. All right. Just had to be sure. Okay. Aloha, Bull. I am a young 20-something individual who is looking to find his way in life. I've got partially through a college degree. I'm thinking about going back, and there's a bunch of other stuff about him that isn't particularly relevant. And a lot of this, I'd rather for his own privacy not state. What I did get, though, was, Bull, you have a lot of good advice. You appear to have been very successful in your life. I appreciate that. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, again, financially independent at the age of 29, able to retire whenever I want, making 6 figures in literal fucking paradise, right? And y'all have seen I've got a fucking 6-pack. I'm a runway model as a side gig, right? My go-to is, how many nuclear engineer runway models do you know? The answer is probably just one. I have yet to find another, so maybe I will someday. That'll be a good tagline. Anyway, yeah. So he says, what if you could boil all the advice you give out down, what is the number one thing you would recommend somebody do, or what is the one piece of advice you would most strongly recommend to every person? And this one was interesting to me because I could have attacked it from a philosophical perspective. I could have said, it is to adopt the Stoic mindset, focus on that which you can't control. But it seems to me like this individual has already achieved that, so it wouldn't be as useful, and more importantly, it wouldn't be as practical. And I believe in practical solutions. I believe in finding ways to, find practical improvements to one's life. Excuse me. So the answer that I came up with after thinking about it and doing some math and actually getting into some calculations, which we'll get into right here, and it should be pretty good, is very simple. All right. I can end this video in the next 10 seconds. The most important thing that you can do, the best piece of advice that I can give you, is ride a bicycle. That's it. Ride a goddamn bicycle. Okay? I'm gonna say it one more time for the people who are really thick in the head. Ride that fucking bicycle. Okay? I'm gonna break down just exactly how big a deal it is if you can ride that fucking bicycle. Okay? I'm saying this above lifting. I'm saying this above working harder at your job. And I believe in those things, but riding a bike gives you such an incredible advantage financially, in terms of your health, in terms of the amount of time you save, in terms of the amount of social benefits it brings, in terms of the dating potential it brings, in terms of the environmental benefits it brings. And guess what? We're all citizens of planet Earth, okay? We all share one environment. So, even if you don't care about that, fine, but there are plenty of benefits for everyone. It makes you a stronger, happier, and better person overall. It does, okay? Let's go ahead and start, all right? I'm gonna go ahead and convince you on this. Let's just start with the money, because everybody's coin operated. It's the beautiful thing about our capitalist system, right? The money talks. Why should you ride a bike, okay? Let's go ahead and just say for a second that you are Mr. McAverage. You drive an average car and live in an average cost of living area. This guy did tell me where he lives. It was actually a little bit more expensive than average, so you could adjust these numbers upwards, but I'd rather stick to the average. You drive a car, you have an average car, you have an average commute, you have this, that, and the other. You work 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, and that's you're Mr. McAverage, okay? So let's say Mr. McAverage here decides, I'd like to be a little better than average. What if I tried cycling to work? What if he really likes it? What if he gets into it to the point where he now cycles to work and can sell his car? Well, the average, okay, Mr. McAverage savings every year for not owning a car and riding around on a bike again is $12,500, okay? That is vehicle depreciation, that is insurance, that is the cost of the vehicle, which is often financed, which another rule almost as important, don't finance a depreciating asset, which is what cars are, but it is insurance, it is gas, it is maintenance, it is repairs, it is everything. It is the added cost of finding parking. It is the added cost of having to live in a residence that requires a car park. There are a lot of knock-on effects that even this number doesn't really take into account. It only takes into account the basics. This is from the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, okay? So if you wanna quibble with my data, okay, go talk to the feds, all right? And that's total costs, okay? Variable costs. So this is excluding car depreciation, which even if you buy a shitbox, that shitbox will be worth less 5 years after owning it than it will be the day you buy it. Unless you buy and tune up and repair and improve old classic cars, which is a hobby in and of itself, but can also become very expensive. That is not a guaranteed profit. It can be a good profit, but it isn't guaranteed. The variable costs alone are $4,000 a year. Now that may not seem like a lot of money. $4,000 a year, oh, that's 300 whatever a month. I think it's 333, right? That's a terrible way to look at this. You need to look at it from a long-term perspective, okay? Looking at my math here, having done this correctly, if you took that $4,000 a year from variable costs, so this is let's just say, you know, you bike most of the time, you keep your car, your insurance goes down because you're driving it less, your fuel costs go way down because you're barely driving it, your maintenance costs go down, you know, you could even sell the car and buy a cheaper, older one that, you know, will last still a long time because you're not using it as often, right? All of those factors play in, but even ignoring most of those, just saying you're keeping Mr. McAverage's car and using it less, $4,000 a year in savings. If you save that, you invest it into the S&P 500 at historical returns on average, which is 7% a year after inflation, that will give you over the course of 10 years, $58,000, okay? Do I have your attention now? $58,000, okay? That's enough to pay off your student loan debt, if you have that. That's enough to put a down payment on a house in most parts of the country, or at least a decent chunk towards one in the more expensive parts of the country, like, you know, here. Okay, $58,000 a year. If you can go full hog with this and ditch the car, right? That is $12,500 a year per BTS. Over 10 years, saved and invested, $181,000. Okay, 181 grand. Okay, $181,000. Okay. Let's just say you just go car free for those 10 years, you buy a car, you become Mr. McAverage again in 10 years. If that $181,000, you started saving that up and investing in your 20s, okay? That means you have that 181K by, let's just say, age 32. That's gonna be 360K by age 42, 720K by age 52, and $1.44 million by age 62. You know what that means? Do you know what that fucking means? That means you want to retire? Do you want to never have to worry about working beyond about the age of 55 again? Because it'll make you a millionaire? There you go. Ride a goddamn bike. Ride a bike. Ride a fucking bike. Okay? That's just the money part. Okay, we're just getting started here, okay? Now let's talk about health benefits. Okay, it has been proven that cardiovascular exercise is linked to higher longevity. In other words, you are buying yourself more time to play the game of life. Not to mention, the quality of those years you have will be improved because doing basic tasks like walking or running or what have you will become easier because your cardiovascular system is used to a greater load on a day-to-day basis. But let's cut down the vanity for a second. Let's just say you care about, well, what could that do for me in terms of pounds lost? Right? Because biking requires energy. Let's take the average commute. The average commute is roughly 25 minutes each way. So that's going to be a 50-minute commute. Cycling for 50 minutes at a reasonable pace, okay, maybe 12-ish miles an hour, is going to burn you about 400 calories in that time, okay? Obviously, that number can fluctuate. If you're fat, it's going to be higher. If you're small and skinny, it's going to be lower. But 400 calories a day. 400 fucking calories a day, okay? So you're just doing that for your commute. You're not doing anything with the bike on the weekends. That's 2,000 calories a week. 2,000 calories a week multiplied by 50 weeks a year. That's 100,000 calories. Pound of fat is 3,500 calories. In other words, you can lose 28 pounds of pure flabby body fat every fucking year. Or you can eat a lot more and not worry about it because you're going to burn it off. Okay? So 28 pounds of body fat a year. So let's say you're fucking tubbo, right? You're 350 pounds. You're an absolute goddamn lard ass and you want to get in shape. This is easy on your knees, especially compared to walking because it's nowhere near as much a load. If you get an electric bike, Yeah, you're not going to burn as many calories at first, but you will ride longer, which means you'll end up burning more because you're on the bike for more time. And over time, as you get in better shape, it'll be easier to pedal. And would you look at that? 28 pounds a year. That means if you're a real fucking lard ass, right? You're 300 plus pounds. You could get down to a healthy weight of 180 to 200 pounds in 3 or 4 years. It's pretty good. That's going to put decades back on your life. Okay? And that's just biking. That's assuming you make no other changes to your life, which if you're over 300 pounds, I hope you fucking do, because if you don't, your 50s, 60s, and 70s are going to be abject misery if you make it that far. You don't have a goddamn coronary at age 45. Okay? These, to quote Mr. Money Mustache, one of my favorite thinkers of the modern era, bicycles are money printing youth machines. And we haven't even started yet. Okay, so there's the health benefits. Other nice health benefits are up here. Mental health benefits. Okay, when you commute by bicycle to work, because your commuting is active, right? Your commute is going to force your blood to start moving around your body. What that's going to do is wake you up. In other words, you don't need that extra cup of coffee in the morning. You're already going to come to work feeling ready, feeling pumped up, feeling more full of energy. I notice this all the time. When I bike to work, I'm definitely coming in a much better mood. So, seems like a win-win, right? You ride that fucking bicycle. Now you're coming into work. Now you're maybe a bit more productive. You're getting more shit done. Maybe your boss notices that. Maybe that gets you that pay raise you've been looking for. Another benefit to riding the goddamn bike. All right? So there's a mental health aspect to it. Increases your mood. Another one, it will help your kidney health. How does cycling help your kidney health? In the same way that all cardio does. Cardio will make you thirstier. Being thirstier will make you drink more water. Drinking more water helps your kidneys. All right? Easy peasy. Another one cycling will help you with. It'll help your skin. Now, obviously, take precautions. If you live in a place like here, where it is very, very intense sun, especially in the summertime, use a little bit of sunblock. But it'll give you vitamin D that you're probably going to need, especially in the winter months, even here. So, boom, another benefit to cycling, right? You're going to get fresh outdoor activity that has been shown to improve and stimulate mental health, longevity. It's an improver. It's just wins down the line. All right. So there's your financial benefits and your health benefits. Okay, so that's 2. Let's talk about a couple other options. Okay, environment. Climate change is real, okay? It's happening, and it's mostly caused by humans. If you want to debate me on that, okay. But let's go ahead and, before we go down the path of carbon emissions, let's just talk a step back for a moment and talk a little bit about the other emissions by not driving. By not driving, what you're doing is you are reducing nitrous oxide emissions. You are reducing emissions related to oil and gas drilling. You are reducing potential leaks from fuel that goes into our ecosystems, into our water supply, which out here, ask any resident of Red Hill in Oahu how they feel about that, right? Now, I get that was military, but there are fuel leaks. Right now, they're ripping up Dillingham Boulevard down there for the rail, and they're finding fuel-contaminated soil because of the gas stations that are there. Do you really think, right, if we had an issue at the Red Hill Navy fuel storage facility, do you really think every gas station doesn't have leaks? Not to mention, right, Cancer Alley in the United States, where is that caused? Well, it's caused mostly in Louisiana and Texas, where the most oil refineries are. The less oil we use, the less they need to produce, the less cancer gets created, all right? All those vehicle fumes, especially if you drive a diesel vehicle, an older one, that soot is carcinogenic, okay? Even if you want to ignore the environmental benefits, that shit gives you cancer. Brake dust gives you cancer. Tire dust gives you cancer. And yes, is a bike perfect on those fronts? No, but 2 tires is going to produce less of that wear than 4 tires, especially at a lower speed, all right? Same with the brakes. Brakes on a bike are a lot smaller than brakes on a car because it's far less momentum. You need to stop because it's a much lighter object, okay? So that's before you get into the global warming stuff. Now let's talk about carbon emissions, okay? Per mile, the average car, right, we're talking Mr. McAverage here, will generate 411 grams, that's just a tick under a pound, of carbon emissions, okay, for your average car. This is for an electric bike. A regular bike is actually slightly more because of the calories you end up using. For most diets, right, will involve more consumption of food, in particular consumption of meat, and that will increase your carbon emissions. But for an e-bike, it's 16 grams. As far as I'm concerned, if it's below 20 or 30 grams, you're doing great. So that is a reduction, okay, by about a factor of 30. In other words, multiplying that by your current average fuel economy of roughly 25 mpg, this is equivalent to operating a 750 miles per gallon car, okay? Would you like to say that your vehicle gets 750 miles to the gallon? Get an e-bike. There you go. I believe a regular bike, because of the increase in diet and calories, and obviously, right, if you eat vegan, it's going to be different. How big you are, it's going to be different, but it's more like 400 to 500 miles per gallon. But at that point, you're splitting hairs. So there you go, 750 miles per gallon. All right, now let's talk about social benefits. First off, you're going to become more attractive. You're going to lose weight. Who knows? Stick to it long enough, you might even get a six-pack, right? Your legs are going to look incredible. I promise you. Okay, here's a really great example. All right, so just looking at the dating scene, I was biking back from Ala Moana downtown. That's here in Honolulu. And this real pretty girl in a brand new, very, very pretty, all black tinted window Mercedes rolls up, lowers her window, and just straight up says, "Your legs look incredible." Just random compliment from a girl, okay? Women just don't do that. Women never do that, especially to guys, okay? Think about how fucking rare that is, right? And it's true, okay? My legs look fucking incredible. I mean, my squat numbers should be proof enough that they are strong, but the definition is insane because of how much time I spend on my bike. I have ridden about 2,000 miles in the last 6 months, and it's fantastic. I love it. But all those health benefits and all that money benefits, you know what that's going to make you? It's going to make you richer and more attractive. What are the girls like? Rich, attractive men. Okay, and the same thing applies if you're a girl, right? How many guys are about the booty? If you're a girl riding that bike, your booty's going to look amazing. I mean, that one seems even more obvious to me, but you know, girls usually like a nice ass too. If we got any of the fairer sex in here, by all means, you can speak up about that. But I mean, look, there's a reason when Queen did the music video for Bicycle Race, they put a bunch of naked ladies on the bikes. Everybody likes that. Come on, why wouldn't you? Not to mention, with this fucking lard-ass society, we could use a few more pretty, nice, muscular asses on bikes. Don't make anything bad for anyone. All right? Now, let's talk social benefits to you, okay? Social benefits to you. There are cycling clubs. There are bicycle advocacy chapters for more cycling infrastructure, which you should get involved in. If you are interested in cycling at all, I'm a member of the Hawaii Bicycling League. I recommend it for everyone. Desperately, we need more cycling advocacy in this country. And make no mistake about it, if your politics are left, right, or sideways, I don't care. Cycling advocacy can and should be apolitical. If anything, cycling is the most libertarian way of getting around because it requires the least government resources to build the infrastructure. Cars require highways and lots more space. Rail is rail and it's expensive as fuck. God knows we've seen that enough out here. Buses are better than cars, but they still require the same infrastructure and getting stuck in the same traffic that cars do. Right? A bike path is a 10 to 15 foot wide strip of asphalt. It's the easiest goddamn thing in the world to build. Even the government here should be able to do that without royally screwing it up. Here's a great example, okay? The rail, this monstrosity of a project we've got going on here in Oahu, is running at $8 to $10 billion to complete the fucker, and it's already at $8 billion, and it's still only about halfway done. They want to build a bike path complete from Nanakuli over on the Waianae side, all the way to Manoa, where the university is. They've advocated 6 million, okay? 8 billion, 6 million. So 6 million for that. That is a factor of less than 1/1000th. 0.1%. Which is just shockingly bad, first off, I want to say. But if you're a taxpayer, are you kidding me? Well, even if what that should mean is, if you think, right, we want to get people out of cars to make traffic better, which you should, because that improves everybody's lives. But holy shit, which would you rather spend? 6 million, which divided over the taxpayer base of about 500,000 a year is $12 per person, or 8 billion, which is divided over the tax base of about 500,000 people here, it's 16,000 a person. This is what we would call a no-brainer, okay? You would have to be brainless, but it blows my mind that that's even a conversation. But the fact remains, right? And as bad as the rail is, highway infrastructure is even worse, and it's far worse at its job, actually, getting people around without getting them stuck in traffic. But if you are an anti-government, lower my taxes type of individual, you should be the most in favor of cycling infrastructure, because all that if you can get a good cycling network up and you can drop traffic rates by 10, 20, or even 30%, all of a sudden your roads wear down a lot less quickly. Because there's less traffic, people move faster, the economy increases. I mean, we're talking benefits on the scale that can't even be fathomed, right? Let's talk another thing, taxpayers, okay? If you're not a fan of you're not a fan of our government's reckless spending, which I'm certainly not. Okay, yeah, we're getting political here for a moment because, well, we just had an election and we're spending way more than we can afford. You know what? A lot of them fat people often tend to be on Medicaid. A lot of that money we spend on Medicaid, hundreds of billions of dollars a year, is on preventable diseases. A lot of that money is on obesity. How many billions of dollars do you think we could save if we get some of those fat, poor people on Medicaid to, I don't know, ride a bike instead of drive a car? It's a no-brainer. It's the biggest no-brainer there is in terms of infrastructure spending. You spend a couple million here and there, in terms of healthcare costs alone, in terms of reduction in other transit costs alone, you save the taxpayer on the order of probably 10 to 100. It really depends on what inputs and outputs you use, but it's incontrovertible that cycling is best if you want to shrink the size of government. The government has to provide transportation somehow. You can sit here and say, it should be private roads and toll roads and all that, and you can make an argument from that at the philosophical level, but that's as much a pipe dream for the libertarians as, I don't know, a 100% income taxes for the communists and socialists in this country. Both are fucking unrealistic, so you got to pick from much more reasonable options, and cycling infrastructure is at the top of that list. And it pisses me off to no end. The only people who seem to be cycling advocates all too often are the insufferable progressive Portland soy boys out there that give cyclists a bad name. What was right about the female complement having a lasting effect on men? The Mercedes story will become a classic. I've told that to a bunch of people. And I get compliments on the way my legs look, on the way even my glutes look. There is, and it's not just from girls, it's in fact far more often from guys, because, well, even just locally around here, Honolulu is a very gay city. That's not a positive or a negative comment. It is merely an observation. I think most people in Honolulu would agree with that statement. Honolulu is extremely LGBT friendly. But, right, you've got all of these benefits. Now let's talk one more about social, right? You could get into bike repair workshops, teach yourself a new skill. That skill will allow you to make more friends. Repairing bicycles may allow you to figure out how to repair other items that are mechanically driven. It may allow you to do, again, you can do charity work to help replace other poor people's bikes or improve their lives, which make you feel even better about yourself. It'll get you more friendships that way. Again, cycling leagues, clubs, advocacy, you can build an entire friendship network out of that. I've got friends over, that are members of HBL here. So let's go ahead and recap for a minute. Economic benefits of, per 10 years, 58 to 181K a year on average. Health benefits of 28 pounds of fat lost per year, plus better cardiovascular health. So that's probably 5 to 10 more years added onto your life minimum. Social benefits of a new and improved friends network that you might not have previously had, so that solves your loneliness issues, right? It also allows you to do charity work, which has been shown to make people feel better about themselves. It gives you a new cause to advocate for. Environmental benefits of the equivalent of driving a car that gets 750 miles per gallon. Improved productivity at work and at home because you commute on the way home. Improved mood because you feel better after getting some exercise. Improved kidney function thanks to higher hydration. And let's bring it on home with societal benefits. This gets a little more political. If we as a society were to adopt that approach, U.S. oil consumption would fall. The United States produces more oil than any other country on earth, including Russia, including Saudi Arabia, and we export almost none of it because we are the 500-pound needs a mobility scooter equivalent of our oil consumption. We are addicted like a fucking degenerate crack addict to the slippery teat of the oil and gas industry, okay? We are disgustingly addicted to oil and gas. And the reason I care about that isn't for some hippy-dippy bullshit. It's foreign policy chops 101. If we were able to export the oil that we produce, we would have Russia by the balls. We would have Iran by the balls. We would have Saudi Arabia by the balls. Well, okay, not really the Saudis. They can pump oil at even lower costs than we can. But Russia, Iran, Venezuela, and a bunch of the other bad actors in the world, we would have their asses over a red, white, and blue barrel sucking our red, white, and blue dicks overnight. And we should want that. Look, the world isn't a perfect place. It's a scary place a lot of the time. But it abhors a power vacuum. And your options right now are us, the Chinese, or the Russians. We're the best of a bad option there. And before you uptight, self-fellating Europeans want to get on me for that statement, keep beefing up your military first. Because right now, that whole meme about 99% power NATO just being the US is kind of real. I credit where it's due to the Polish. They're actually doing that. At long last, the Germans are upgrading their horrendously underfunded military. The British and French are also starting to do so as well. It's just, again, it's long overdue. They've been living off of U.S. largesse for decades. So you would make America stronger if you care about your country, right? This is what I'm talking about. All these faux patriotic Trump supporters and Trump dick riders out there that want to talk about, oh yeah, we will make America great again. Well, what would make America great is being able to export enough oil to bring our enemies to their knees. You know how you do that? By not driving a big stupid truck, right? It's that simple. So societally it improves life, right? And ideally, eventually, yes, we stop using, as a society, we get beyond the use of internal combustion and petroleum products for most uses, because if we do that, we're going to improve our environment's capability to serve the population we currently have and the population we'll have in the future. So beyond anything else, if you care about what the world is going to look like for your children and your children's children, ride the goddamn bicycle. Okay, so that, in a nutshell, is how to become a richer, stronger, happier Gigachad in one simple step. Ride a bike. Ride an electric bike if you can, if you need help to get where you need to go. There are programs to get a tax rebate on an electric bike if you are limited income. Out here, it's $500. You get $500 from the state. You can find a decent looking e-bike now for under $1,000. If you say, oh, that's expensive, your car costs 10. Bullshit. Okay? And if you're to say, immediately what will come are the excuses. Oh, well, I live 50 miles away from my work and I can't ever move. Really? No, you can. You might not like it, but you shouldn't be living 50 miles away from your fucking job. That's stupid. That's an immense waste of energy and an immense waste of your time and an immense waste of resources to commute when you're that far away from your job. At bare minimum, okay, if you're, okay, I will make a caveat to this. If you are a 2-household income, then I would say at least live within biking distance of one of the 2 jobs. Preferably the job of the person who intends to stay employed when you have a child. You have a child, you should go down to 1 income. Don't outsource the raising of your children. If you're doing that, what's the fucking point? Okay? If you want to sit here and tell me that you can't move that close to your work, I don't buy it. I don't. I really don't. And there really isn't a better example of this than, let's say, yeah, it's a cost of living issue. You can't live in downtown San Francisco if you work there, for instance. First off, most people don't live in a place as expensive as that. But even if you did, yeah, you might have to pay a little more in rent, but if you live in a smaller place, accept that, okay, it's the city life, you're able to get by without a car, you save fucking sackfuls of money to the point where you now have an advantage and a much more advantageous position to negotiate with your employer for either remote work or to just retire. You don't need the money. You could just retire earlier. That's what I said, right? 181K? Well, let's say you do that for 2 decades. All of a sudden, you've saved up 360K. That plus whatever other savings you had, you get pretty close to retirement at that point. Or you could take a part-time job. You wouldn't need as much money because you've already got all that saved up. Yeah, cookies and cream for sure. It's so obvious to me. You ride a bike. It's not that hard. Stop complaining and ride a bike. Oh, what about the weather? The weather, what if I get wet? Oh, no. Oahu is a very rainy place in the winter, as I'm learning. You know what happens? All the people who have to sit and find parking get just as wet as you do. It's just a degree. Everybody will be wet coming in. Or like if you live in Seattle. Unless you are parking in a garage directly below your employer, you're going to get wet going to work anyway. Wear a slicker, right? Or what I do, keep dry clothes in the office. Go into work wearing a t-shirt and shorts, and then change at the office. It's not that hard. And if your boss gives you guff about that, say, okay, well, this allows you to have one more free parking space you don't have to compete with. And if your boss still gives you guff, then yeah, just wear a slicker. Or, change, in the lobby bathroom as soon as you get in. There are ways to skin this cat. It can be done. And finally, one more, what I will call, again, to borrow from Mr. Money Mustache, a complainy pants response. Oh, the weather gets so cold in the winter. You live in Hawaii. You don't understand. Okay. Then riddle me this, Batman. Why is one of the most cycling-friendly cities in terms of percentage of people who commute to work Minneapolis, Minnesota, a city with one of the notoriously worst winters on the continent, for God's sake? Not just the country. I mean, Minnesota, you might as well be living in goddamn Siberia half the year. And Minnesota can get quite warm and quite unpleasantly humid in the summers, too. Why do people cycle there? It's because there's infrastructure and they're willing to goddamn do it. Don't tell me it can't be done. Find a way to do it. If you constantly go through life making excuses for yourself, finding reasons you can't, you are going to be a failure. Be the exception. Figure out how to do things. Figure out how to can, not how to can't. Okay? We're Americans. We're not Americans. Anyway, all right. That's going to be my rant slash response. I hope it was useful to you. If you are watching, great. If you are not, well, you'll catch us on replay. Yeah, you want to become a richer, stronger, happier Gigachad in one simple step? Ride a bike. You lived with the Promise Bowl is definitely a good one. I appreciate that. If you guys want any questions, right? Write me, askbullmuscle@gmail.com. I will do a consultation. I recommend it. These consultations, right? You're getting advice, one-on-one advice from someone who is financially independent before the age of 30, has a six-pack, and makes great money at a job he likes, right? How many nuclear engineer role models do you know? askbullmuscle@gmail.com. All right? I think that's going to be it for me today. I have food to eat. I could go and do a row workout today. I'm tempted to go do a row workout today. I shouldn't. I normally would work out tomorrow morning. I probably won't. I'll probably chill in the Discord and try and fix my tower computer. I was trying to work on that the other day and just got distracted with a bunch of other things. So there you go. Ride a bike, askbullmuscle@gmail.com. If you want one of these consultations, promise you, it's worth it. Any other questions you got for me, you can ask there as well. I really try to focus on the consultation emails first because those require notes. Those require a little bit of effort, a little bit of digging, right? So this, going and finding those economic benefits from the Bureau of Transport Statistics, that takes a little bit of effort on my part, doing a little bit of math, the health benefits and all that. But it's not too hard. Yeah, and by the way, thank you, Cookies and Cream. I get real fucking tired of the people who write in for consultations and then I ask follow-up questions to get better, to make a better quality product for you, and then you don't respond. That's very rude. So if you write to me at askbullmuscle@gmail.com, expect a response because I want to make sure, if you're writing into me, I want to make sure you get something of quality. You get a quality product. You get something that is valuable to you. You get advice that you can act upon and that is useful to you. And ride a bike. So that is going to be it for me today. I will be live 5 a.m. Hawaiian Standard Time, which I believe we have shifted back to non-daylight savings time now. So that is going to be 7 Pacific in the morning, 9 Central, and 10 a.m. Eastern, something like that. But yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. So I will see y'all Saturday morning. Until then, make good decisions. Those good decisions form your habits. Those habits form your values. Those values form an ethos. Good decisions form your actions. The actions form your habits. The habits form your values. The values form an ethos. Can be the guide star through the rough waters of life. Much love, y'all. Come in for the hug. All right, shoots. See you Saturday.